Hello everyone, today I will be teaching you all a simple way to solve any integer problem given to you. The rules are very basic and simple, and I will try my best to explain them to you. So let's get started. We will start off with addition and subtraction. Usually when you're given an integer equation or problem, it may look something like this. So you'll have a number with some sign, and then you'll have an operation, another number with some sign behind it, and you will be asked to solve it. Whenever I look at something like this, the main thing that can confuse me or that stands out just like a red flag is the fact that these two are right next to each other. So basically, this could be a positive, this could be a negative, it could be vice versa. Either way, we have two signs that are neighboring each other, and our goal is to get rid of them. So how do you get rid of these signs? They are very, very simple way to do this. Basically, if you have two signs that are next to each other and they are the same sign, then you can combine both of those signs into a positive or a plus. On the other hand, if there are different signs or opposites, then it always equates to a minus or a negative sign. So let's just keep this in mind as we move forward. Okay, so as an example, let's say I have negative 4 plus negative 2. And you are asked to solve this equation. So the first thing that you see over here, we have a sign behind this number, a sign behind this number, and then you have this operation in the middle that you want to try and get rid of. So once again, when you're getting rid, you want to get rid of the two that are right next to each other. You're basically combining them. And according to our rule, if we have different signs, which we do, a positive and a negative, that automatically equates into a negative sign. So if I were to rewrite this equation, it would be negative 4 minus 2. Now, the next step in these sort of equations is figuring out, so the next step in these sort of equations is just figuring out how these two should be combined. Basically the last two operations you have. And for that, you have basically the same set of rules, just with a little bit more detail. Basically, if your question has a positive number and another positive number, or a negative number and another negative number, the rule for both of these is to add and keep the sign. You have a positive number and a negative number left. In this case, you will subtract the two numbers, and your answer will have the sign of the larger number. So we have our rules over here. Let's see if we can use these rules to solve this problem that I had up here. So I had a negative 4 and negative 2. In this case, both of my signs are the same. And according to this rule right here, if my signs are the same, which is like two negatives, the rule is to add the numbers and keep the same sign. So I know that my answer is going to have a negative sign. And if I add the two numbers, 4 plus 2, that is equal to 6. So my answer is negative 6. If that doesn't make sense just yet, don't worry, I will do a few more problems with you. Let's look at this first one right here. We have no sign, 17, plus a negative 12. No sign obviously means we have a hidden plus sign. Okay, so once again, we have our signs behind each number, and then we have this operation that we're trying to get rid of. In order to get rid of the operation, we will look at our first set of rules, which is right up here. It says that if we have different signs, then they equate to, or you can combine both of them to a negative sign, regardless of what the actual numbers are. So in this case, my signs would equate to a negative, and I have a 12 and a positive 17. Let's solve this. The next step in solving this would be to then look at the second set of rules right here, which says if you have two different signs, which is what we have right here, then the rule is to subtract and reuse the sign of the larger number. In this case, the sign of the larger number is positive. 17 is larger than 12, so positive is our sign of our answer. And we just subtract these two. 17 minus 12 is 5. that would be our answer. Let us look at one more question. So, once again, just to make it easy, we'll identify our signs. Let's make this green. Our signs and the operation we're trying to get rid of. Once, just like the one above, we have a positive and a negative in the middle, so those would equate to a negative sign. Let's bring down everything else that we had, and let's try and solve. This time we have two of the same signs, a negative and a negative. According to our rules, we have a negative and a negative. We would have to add both numbers and keep the same sign. That is what we're going to do over here. We have 4 plus 9 is 13, and the same sign goes. So our answer for this question would be negative 13. Let us do one last one, just in case. Once again, we have our signs behind each number, and then we have that middle operation that we want to get rid of. And since our signs are different, we have a positive and a negative right next to each other. Our rule says signs are different, they equate to a negative. So we will rewrite this equation as negative 8 minus 2. So the next step, once again, we have got two negatives, a negative 8 and a negative 2. And if we look at our rule, it says if you have the same sign, you just add the individual numbers and keep the sign in your answer. So it's going to be negative 8 plus 2 is 10. That would be our final answer. I hope this made sense to you, and I will make another video explaining multiplication and division, which I promise is much easier than this. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I will see you next time.